Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a very special guest.
Hi, my name is Fritz.
Hi, I'm Riku.
And we are two of the members of The Reckless.
I love it. I love it. So I really love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning kind of charts our trajectory in life, like our little habits that we pick up along the way, follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about, a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And how did you find your way into music? And you could start.
Yeah, I'll start with me. I'm the most important, as I always say. I started with music when I was probably around, at least the first kind of time I really picked up an instrument. I think I was like 7 or something. Because my dad was a drummer and a vocalist, and he was trying to be an artist as well when he was growing up. So I take a lot of influence from him, and he basically got me started on guitar when I was 7. I was not ready. It was way too big for me. I hated it. And so I put it off for a while. Did some like band in like middle school and high school with like saxophone. And then I was on our way to school one day and I heard Black Dog by Led Zeppelin for the first time, and it absolutely blew my mind. I had no idea you could do that with the guitar, because up until that point, like the most complicated riff I had heard at the time was which it's a great riff. I don't want to trash on American Idiot, but it's just cool. So it didn't like, oh my gosh, this is so unbelievably different. When I heard like the riff of Black Dog, I was absolutely blown away and realized like, okay, I want to be able to do that. And from there, I started taking lessons from my dad's old guitar player in his old band, and just kind of continued to kind of snowball into the music world. And then went to college, struggled to find, I wanted to get a band together in college, but at least where I went to school, University of Redlands, it wasn't a very large kind of scene. Like at SDSU, there's quite like there's a pretty solid local scene there, which is cool, but we didn't have anything like that at Redlands. And so that happened. Obviously went through COVID, where couldn't do anything. And then I got laid off. And then I was like, I had as I appreciate that, but also I was like, probably the best thing to happen to me because I hated that job. And I ended up like really getting into music, and I was like, okay, I have all these riffs saved up. I'm going to do that. And, basically kept working on that. And in short, basically eventually founded The Reckless.
Love that. I love that.
And then Riku, what about you?
Uh,
No pressure, no pressure.
Love that story. I didn't really play music until later in life. I listened to music a lot, but I didn't really play it. My dad is a musician though, and he plays all sorts of instruments. So I always kind of knew it was possible and it was a thing you could do, but I didn't really spend too much time doing it. But then I started playing those like Rock Band Guitar Hero games.
Yeah.
Suddenly, at some point, I sat behind a drum kit and I was like, oh, I already kind of know what to do with this. And I got really excited about it and just started playing all the time and just walking around figuring out drum parts and all sorts of stuff like that. And then eventually I was lucky enough to get to go to music school where I studied drums and all sorts of styles and
Nice.
uh, production, music production. And yeah, I that's just been awesome. And then I met Fritz because we both work as music teachers.
Oh,
And
neat.
um, I think he asked me if I, or he asked me to fill in
Yes.
because they were kind of drummers all the time.
We had
And
a rough patch of like five different fill-in drummers, like 6 shows in a row. It was awful.
Oh no.
yeah, so he sent me just like a set list and I was just practicing it. And then there was like some point where I don't think I ever told you this, but I practiced it for like 3 hours straight just because I
Oh,
was having fun
Wow.
doing it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then we played the show and it was a lot of fun. But I was trying to get money playing music for some reason, which we weren't doing.
I mean, that's what our goal is right
Yeah.
now, too.
So I don't know. I thought I was all sophisticated. I'm like, oh, they gotta hire me for this shit. But Um, and then at some point, Fritz convinced me to join the band, and I'm very happy I did because I joined under the conditions that I'd get to help write songs, and he'd have to make sure that I get to sing at the shows.
I love that.
It's the hardest decision
Yeah,
of
I'm
my
like, you
life.
could hate my band, I suck at everything,
Yeah.
but you're gonna let me.
I love
And,
that. No,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I love that. You know, it's so cool when it like works. When I always wonder like how groups are formed and just when it's that chemistry and it makes sense. Because I mean, yeah, you're working with each other and going on tour and doing the things with each other all the time. So that has to be there. So I love that it just clicks.
Yeah, it was to kind of like carry off a little bit of what he said, and also kind of what you said. It took a little bit at first. I remember we had multiple conversations because like I obviously really wanted to keep him in the band.
Yeah.
Um, and we were in this like kind of gray area period where we had a bunch of shows lined up. So we were in this period of like, I just need you to kind of do the songs that we have. Where he's like, well, can't we start writing stuff? And we had to kind of coordinate and talk to each other about really figuring out like, hey, let's take some time to settle down for a second. We've been working really hard. And or we've been playing a lot of shows, but we haven't like really become a full band to the point where we could just know what each other are like doing at all times. And I owe him a lot for that because I was yeah, like I'm always a little bit. I actually owe like my band members. I always tell them like if I'm going like doing too much, slow me down. I'm sometimes like, oh, I'll just do anything, and they'll be like, why did you do that? Like that was not the decision to do because I
Right.
don't think that way. So he was someone who's like, let's actually like nail down our sound. Let's like make sure because it was us and our bass player Michael at the time. We were just a trio, um, and he was like, let's really get our sound as tight as humanly possible, and that way we can kind of really start to build. And that's kind of where we kind of carried off. Really became the Reckless.
I love that. That's great. So I really definitely want to get into like kind of how you guys came up with your new EP called Who Are You? Love that title. I think that's a very interesting question. Like, who are you? Um, Tell me a little bit about the process of that. Like, what was like, why that song? Why now?
You want to go first? I went first last time. Me?
I'll
Okay.
let you go.
Okay. All right. Um, so, what is it? With Who Are You? That song was, well, technically, I guess Remember Me was the first, technically, that we got off the EP.
Yeah.
But Who Are You was the first, like, we had considered Remember Me almost like as a single.
Mhm.
And then we are like, well, we could just make it a part of an EP. And we're like, oh, yeah, we could. So we just kind of then went to an EP. Who Are You started out with, like Riku said, since we're both music teachers, we're always kind of also like hearing new music from like what our students bring to us.
Love that.
So my students were doing a show group where they were doing a lot of heavy metal bands like System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine,
Mm.
Charvel, things like that. Um, uh,
Charvel?
Charvel, is
Is
that?
it Sheva?
Oh, whoops.
All right, sorry.
We'll cut that. No. And um, we uh anyway, so I started listening to that and I started to be like, this music's pretty cool. I kind of want to play around with it. So basically I just started to experiment in drop tuning
Mhm.
to any non-musicians out there. Your guitar and most instruments come in what's called E standard tuning, which
Okay.
is E, E, B, E. And basically I just tuned some of those strings to uh, lower keys, as they would call. So I was playing in drop D tuning, and I just kind of was also picturing in my mind because it was baseball season when I first came up with the riff, and I always had been a fan of like really cool walk-up songs, or like when a pitcher or like an MMA fighter's coming out
Sure.
and they get hyped off like the soundtrack. So
Mhm.
I was like, I wanted to kind of do something like that. So I was like, okay, what could be something really cool? So I came up with like this really uh powerful riff that just went bum 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 da bum, and I was like, ooh, okay. And I basically brought that to the band, just that, and said, this is kind of what I got, and I wanted to give this vibe,
Right.
and like I want that slow build, I want that uh aggressiveness and that meanness that is portrayed, and I want people to feel like, oh yeah, things are about to go. Um,
And also for like the longest time we were struggling with like finding a good opener for our
Mhm.
we would like try a different like from our existing songs that we had. We'd always try doing like maybe this one works. Maybe this one's they were all doing like okay, but it was never like that great. And then we wrote this song specifically with that in mind. Like this is gonna start out the show, it's gonna build a good amount of tension, it's gonna give people time to walk in from outside
yeah,
so they don't miss like too much of your first song. And
I
yeah.
no, and I
love
forget,
that.
I forget. Did you come up with like the to like right away? Like, how'd you come up with that part
Um, I think
or
there's like a
decision?
well, you told me about some Rage Against the Machine song. I don't remember which one it was, but it starts off with just like a hi-hat thing, and then I was like,
Oh, okay. I think I
I
know
think
what
it's like
you're talking
know
about.
your enemy. Is that what it's know your
It's
enemy?
either know your enemy or take the power back.
Oh, that take the
Take
power
the
back.
power
That's
back.
the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it starts off with like a hi-hat thing, and then I was like, well, if I just do the hi-hat thing, it's gonna be that. So I
Yeah.
had to like I just moved it over to like the rim of the drum, and then I was like, okay, there it is.
No,
That's
it's just like it works. I love
yeah.
Yeah. Actually worked better. Yeah, like, okay.
it. I love
And
that.
then lyrically, the song kind of came about because we received our first like troll hate comment on like a video that blew up.
Oh
Um,
no.
well, well, we considered a good thing because
Yeah.
we had been like all of our fans and family or whoever had been commenting like, "Oh, we love your stuff so much," and then like we had to us, we had finally gotten a post to be big enough to where someone's like, "You stink," or like, "Ah," and you're like, "We don't even know who you are, dude," and then that kind of came into the concept. It's like, wait a minute, who are you? Like, who are you to even say anything, my guy? And that was kind of the message that we kind of went with the song was this sense of like who are these people to bring you down or to stop you from doing what you kind of love kind of concept. That was kind of the message behind those lyrics.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
yeah,
think that's really powerful too, because it's like a lot of times, yeah, I think like that's the thing about this entertainment is industry, whether it's music, creatively, or I do films, so I've definitely had bad reviews, and I read in a thing, I was like, oh my God, like you're like, holy crap, but it actually is so good because you want to go back and like perfect it and just do better and like come back. It's also a part of the growth of like, yeah, you are reaching that audience where there's a lot more people listening, not just family and friends. They're like, great
Yeah.
job. They love everything. You're like, really?
exactly.
Everything? So yeah,
Yeah.
totally get that. Totally get that. What is your approach when it comes to live performances?
When it comes to live performances, our goal, like every time you come to a Reckless show, should be like you're there for fun, like just totally to let go of any sort of like because we want you to feel the way that we are feeling on stage, and
Yeah,
by I portray that as like complete kind of freedom and in the momentness.
I love that.
So, uh, like I'm not sure if I'm not sure if there's the best way to describe it. I feel like I come off as a fairly diplomatic, like chill human being for the most part. And
Hmm.
then when I get on stage, I act like an utter buffoon. And like that's kind of my goal is like I've always said, the dumber you think you look on stage, the way better you look to everyone else in the crowd. Like if you're like, I'll go on stage and we'll be playing get in a fight and during which is usually the second song we play and I'll usually join the crowd. I'll start to mosh with the crowd and then come back on stage and just start doing the worst dances. Like I can't dance. So I just like start like doing like 50s like shindig stuff. I'll start like doing the just the ugliest dances, but like they're fun and the goal is to just portray to the audience like you're safe if if I can do this on stage you can
Right.
do whatever you want on there and that's what we want to portray to anyone who comes to our shows is like there is no place for like insecurity right now like
Yeah.
this is about you enjoying your life right here and that's our goal when we approach live shows like that.
I love that. I love that. So I really I love asking this question with every guest, and there is no wrong answer. But the three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Power, respect.
Money and power, like kind of the. It's like if you have a lot of money, don't you have a lot of
Well,
power?
yeah, they can. I would feel like, yeah, I mean that I would agree with. Or
Yeah,
if you have a lot of power, I would assume you would also have a lot of money. So I would, in terms of those three, I mean, I would certainly say respect, I think, is probably the one because you can have money and power, and I can have absolutely no respect for you as a human being. So,
that's true.
in terms of that sense, it could be. Uh, but also,
Money's pretty great.
yeah. And like if you're trying to make this your life, if you're trying to make this your life, like if you a livable thing. I love respect and like I want people to respect me, but I can't buy food with
Uh,
respect, you know. Like,
Right.
maybe though, yeah. So
we get drink tickets at shows.
yeah, that's true. Um, I I'll say okay. I'll say are we supposed to rank them or just pick one? What do you think?
Just one.
Wow.
No wrong answer, just one. Which one would you choose and why?
I'll take power just to give you time.
Nice.
I'll take
Nice.
power, just because I guess I feel like power is a good way to kind of earn both. I don't know if that makes sense.
It's a
I
great
don't know.
answer. It's a good answer.
I hope so. I don't know. I first
No wrong answer, I promise.
what I want
Oh
influence
yeah, it
forever.
sounds it sounds very like evil empire. They'll
Yeah.
take all.
It is pretty good.
I love
Yeah,
us. That's a great
good.
answer.
That's true. As long I guess they aren't inherently bad. All three
Yeah.
are not inherently bad.
It's win-win.
Right.
So okay, in that sense, I guess I would also take power because I'd want to do. I'd like to think I would do good with
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So I benefit myself a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, of
I'm not,
course, yeah.
like it'd be like Billboard, we're number one, like right now.
We'll
I
put
love
up.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, every once in a while, but
Right.
it's just, I do more good.
You want to
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I love that. That's those are great answers. I also think too is the music world. Especially being an independent artist. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Do you guys feel very like the pressure of like you just said, Billboard, we want to be number one, like that, like you are not in competition, but information and how we consume music is so different how now than what it was years ago, right? And there's trends every day, just staying like constantly connected to social media can be overwhelming. How do you guys balance that? How do you guys deal with that pressure when it comes to being an independent artist?
Good question. I absolutely hate it. Like I hate that I have to be on social media all the time. It's and just like you said, the whole idea because it shouldn't be that way with art and music. Some like what's the beautiful thing about art is that if another band succeeds, that does not mean we won't succeed.
Right.
It's not like, for example, if you're in I don't know, let's just call it like the food industry and you have a restaurant right next to another restaurant.
Yeah.
You can definitely argue that and like say you're both serving burgers.
Yeah.
One is for sure going to take away business from the other one. Like it's just how it works. In music, that's not how it works. If someone likes your song, they can just add your song and the other band's song, and there's no inherent net loss there. If
Yeah.
anything, you benefit from that because then
Yeah.
they share with one another. So that's the beautiful thing about music. But the issue with social media is you just can't help yourself, unfortunately. Like it's just in your face all the time of like another band's post blowing up, for example, and to you, like, and maybe they've only been a band for like less than a year, not even a year, like maybe like a couple months, and they just got lucky or they posted the right thing, and it happens. And it shouldn't be anything you should get upset about, right? It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Things
Mhm.
blow up on social media all the time and nothing comes from it.
Yeah.
So it is it's very hard though to keep that mindset up, being like, ultimately this is not one post is not going to make or break you.
True.
And uh it's the competition aspect of it is it's hard to avoid, but if you can like find a way to not use it as uh, a way to like get you angry, but just like try to or make you feel less than, but more as a
Mhm.
way to look at and be like, okay, what did they do here that maybe got people's attention a little bit
Mhm.
more?
Mhm.
So for example, John, who's our guitar player, I am now letting him take over a lot of the social media work because basically whatever he touches turns to gold. I don't understand it, but I feel like I've been doing the exact same thing that he is now doing.
Yeah.
Whenever I post something, it just like it's like, oh, maybe 15 likes. And then he just posted three to four things, and each of them got in the high hundreds to like 400 to like 500 likes. I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, I did
Yeah.
the same thing. So you're like, all right, whatever. I don't get it. So there's a degree of like really trying to take care of your mental health in the sense of like really
Yes.
try not to be absorbed by what others are doing. And that's very hard. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still struggle with that. But if you can just take a step back, if you can have either try to find a support system, or, focus on what you're doing in the here and now and just how to get better at that, I would recommend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great. Yeah, I 1000% agree. I think that we all as creatives kind of deal with that. I think that's something, because we're on social media, we like there's celebrities posting. And I think a lot of times people, it's like a highlight reel, right? People look at the highlight of your life and it's like, oh, that's reality, but it's not. It's that's what you see, but it's not what we go through on a daily day basis.
Yeah.
So I do think it's you're like you said, taking a step back is so important and so healthy for your mental health.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it can definitely do a number on you for sure. Is there anyone that you guys would want to collab with? Any artists, living or dead, that if you could collab with them,
First.
who would it be and why?
Okay, so I think just like a kind of just like a producer. I think Butch Vig, like he did Nirvana's big albums and all that
Nice.
stuff. I think he could help us kind of take what we're already doing because right now we're kind of self-producing everything. We have a talented mix engineer, Cody Embry, who we send our stuff to, but overall, like all the recording, production, arrangement, we're doing that ourselves. And I
Nice.
think it'd be cool to have just like outside help on that from someone like Butch Vig or Joe Barisi or just all these people that I'm a big fan of and bands that I like.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Uh, for me, in terms of producer, like I'm a big Rick Rubin guy. I
Oh,
love,
yeah,
Oh, Rick Rubin.
I know.
I
Love
love Rick
him.
Rubin. He'd
Yeah,
be
me
lit.
too.
He'd be dope. In terms of like artists, um, I I recently posted one that the more I've thought about, I'm like, wait, this would actually be awesome. I'd love to like make a song with Hayley Williams, Paramore's lead singer.
Yes.
I love her voice. She's got an awesome rock voice. She seems like a fun person. And like I wrote a song with kind of the intention of kind of doing a girl singer, boy singer kind of thing. Um,
A duet. They
yes,
call it.
yeah. And maybe we'll get there one day.
Yeah.
But if my band members will let me, these bums.
That's the thing. I wonder, like I've seen so many like stories of band members. They get really far and then they kind of break up and then the solo artist, like, just you hear about these bands. What do you think is the key ingredient to stay connected
I
even
would
at
say,
those highest of heights?
do you want to go first or me?
I think I'll go. I think just in terms of like the music is honestly not the biggest problem in that. I feel like whenever we have time to make music, it's always not always, but most of the time smooth sailing in terms of we're progressing to something, making the next song. But I think the biggest challenge is just, balancing the work life and just making these like decisions that your whole band agrees on,
Yeah.
and just doing things that are worth doing. And that's kind of the biggest challenge of staying together as a band is just making sure that everyone is kind of kept in the loop of what's going on and that, no one's opinion or feelings are being dismissed.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
think
guys hope listeners take away from the message of Who Are You, and how does that, track set the tone for the entire EP?
Well, in terms of like the message we want you to take from Who Are You is like not as you can t like I always I've always liked the concept of like people believing in us what a song means to them. So like how
Right.
we wrote it and how it speaks to you can be totally different things.
Hmm.
Um, for me, uh, Who Are You is about saying like who are you to listen to the outside noise or internal noise of like kind of give up or like you're trash, whatever it is. It's like who are you to disparage what I work for? And then the rest of the EP, um, it doesn't all speak to that part. It actually kind of has a bunch of different messages for each song. Do It for Free, which is the next song, um, is kind of like us loving music and wanting to make music and uh, kind of willing to do it for free
Hmm.
despite our desire for making it an actual living. But like we do love it. We're willing to do it for free. But to
Yeah.
any potential label listening, we do want to get paid. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest with you.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then uh, Home is actually literally about my story of discovering kind of rock music. So like my home is where they play the rock and roll kind of concept. It's kind of follows that idea of like, wherever I can play music, wherever I can listen to music freely, that's where I want to be. That's my home.
Love
Um,
that.
Go On is actually an interesting one. That is a remake of an old song off of the first album that I released when it was basically The Reckless was just me.
Mm.
And Riku actually took a listen to it, and he's like, "Hey, I think we should revisit this song." And he basically switched the keys. We changed the chord progression slightly. The riff was completely changed. The bridge basically was just kind of updated to more of a current Reckless standard.
Nice.
And that song was kind of has to deal with the same stuff that we deal with today, which was my frustration with the current, with at the time, the political climate, and it also coincides very well with the political climate of today, of me very, very frustrated, and it's kind of a protest song, uh,
Mm.
and kind of a song about perseverance through, uh, the struggle and the annoyance and the like exhaustion that we get from a lot of the current climate and current power base. And
Yeah.
then Remember Me uh, is about, uh, is basically about like trying to leave a legacy behind. It's talking about what, to me, I feel like is a human goal no matter what, which is to leave some sort of legacy or impact behind, however big or small. It could be as small as like I just want my to have grandkids and I want to, leave them a good life in the future,
Yeah.
or it can be as big as like I want to change the world. And kind of Remember Me is just telling that story of everyone's struggle to get to that point.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. What advice would you give to up and coming artists or someone that wants to just get into start a band and get into it?
I would say one, be humble. Shout out to Kendrick.
Hey.
Uh, Sit down, be humble. Like understand that uh, as much as like you might have really good song ideas or you might be great at certain particular things, it does not mean you know everything, and it doesn't mean that your ideas are the right ideas. Um, as a band, as someone who like has worked in this band, we have found that our best music tends to come from when one of us just brings in a very rough sketch of an idea, and then we're like, "Hey, this is what I got. You can kind of do whatever you want with it," and then we talk it out. So like, "Who Are You" is actually probably a perfect example of the band collectively writing a song because all I did was bring in that drop D riff, basically.
Yeah.
And then John, our lead guitarist, came up with the lead riff. Riku came up with all the drum parts. Uh, we all collectively like talked about like, okay, we're gonna have this section here, we're gonna have this section here, we're gonna randomly add a thrash section here, and it's all just like that. Those talking of ideas that really is what made the song what it is, and that ability to see in yourself and the skill in others is very important
Yeah.
to make this a successful band. If you're
Yeah.
want to be just an individual artist, like that's fine, nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be in a band and like a real unit of people,
Mhm.
then it has to be more than just one person because then it's not a band. It's just Fritz Fayman in The Reckless or Riku Myllykoski in The Reckless,
Yeah.
and that's never what I wanted when I was in a band. I mean, if you listen, a perfect example is just listening to like my old album compared to our new stuff. The bass parts are written like a guitarist wrote a bass
Yeah.
part. Like there's no thought process into like, oh, it should line up with the kick drum. It's like, nah, it should be like big bass line. Um, and be so humility, like communication and patience. You gotta have
Yes.
patience.
That's what I was gonna.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Love that.
on the patience thing, I think it's yeah, you got to give it time to like let it develop. I don't think if you start a band, even if you get like you have this awesome musical chemistry or whatever, even right out the gate, it's still not going to be fun for a long time. There's so many bad things of being in a band where the music's just a small part of it. But yeah, that's and then a big thing is just and the giving patience is just giving your band time to develop. Like maybe it doesn't sound perfectly the way you want it to with like immediately, and sometimes you have to kind of come around to ideas. And that was kind of like what Fritz said, like about the coming in with just a small riff and letting the whole band develop that into a bigger song. That
Yeah.
was a lesson I had to learn the hard way when I first joined. I'm like, I got these demos, but I want you guys to play it exactly how so sick. And everyone's like, there was a huge lack of enthusiasm for the songs, and it was just better if you just let everyone do their thing and put their personality on it, and then the song just ends up being way cooler than anything you could have come up with by yourself.
I love that. No, that's such great advice. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people love listening to on this show is like they love hearing, what advice would you give to them? Because, and I think people just need the tools to understand how to do it. If we have the tools and we can go so far. So thank you guys for sharing that. Also, where can people find you guys on social media to follow everything you guys got going on?
So you can follow us on Instagram at The Reckless, and it's The Reckless, just the and then Reckles. Some people add a W, no W. Um, and we have a website, www.therecklessofficial.com. We have a YouTube channel, TikTok. But if you follow the Instagram and website links, we have all the links there. And
Awesome.
then check out our Spotify on Apple Music. We're on any sort of streaming platform, just The Reckless. And yeah, we hope you guys enjoy our music. Check us out.
Absolutely. Thank you again, guys. I had a great time.
Thank
And
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
absolutely. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you